Hello and welcome back to another Saturday here at Coriander Quilts. My name is Cori Yoder and I am so happy to have all of you joining me once again this week. And thank you all to those that watched last Saturday's video where we did that little behind the scenes of the new fruit salad patterns. It was so much fun to hear your comments. I'm still trying to go through and answer comments. I got a little behind in my answering, so I'm still trying to go through and answer all of your wonderful things that you said and love for fruit salad. And I'm also glad that you all enjoyed that format because that was really fun for me to share that way. And so we are definitely going to have to do more of those behind the scenes sort of filming videos because that was just fun. Today, we've got so much. You can't see what I have on the sides of me, but I've got fruit salad quilts over here. I've got works in progress things down here, blocks, quilt tops, all kinds of things. We've got the $5 pattern I said I was going to talk about, new backdrop bundle. We've just got a lot of things to talk about today, so stick around. First off, let's talk about this new backdrop bundle that Nicole has put up for us. We've got 3 new patterns. Well, they're not new. They're just the new backdrop patterns. And this time around, we're doing another one of the PDF digital bundles only. This is the second time we've done this. Some of you really liked it the first time because it allowed us to discount some of those PDF only patterns. And some of you said, hey, bring back the paper. So this isn't something that we always do, but we're doing it for this round. The patterns that we have back here are acorns. This is a charm pack quilt. You need 60 5-inch squares, so you could easily work from your scrap bin if you wanted to make all of those cute little acorns. It finishes at 70 by 82. My original fabrics were from Cozy Up for that quilt, but of course there are just tons of cute fall quilts or fall quilt fabrics is what I meant to say. A lot of fall quilt fabrics, or even just going with a fun fall palette, but not necessarily fall themed fabrics would be super cute. The next one is lemongrass. This is a jelly roll friendly quilt originally made using pepper and flax. It finishes at 69 by 83. And then we have Prairie Stars over here. This is a yardage based quilt. You're needing half yard cuts as well as 2/3 yard cuts, depending on how many cats you are making out of that particular print. And this one finishes at 69 by 84. So that is our fun little roundup of new backdrop quilts. You can find the complete fabric requirements listed over in my Etsy shop. All of the patterns are available individually. Prairie Stars is still available in paper, so you can get that one by itself in both paper or PDF. The bundle as a whole in just PDF. These 2 patterns in just PDF, and if you're purchasing the whole bundle, you're getting a little bit of a discount. So there we go. That's the intel on those new quilts. All right, let's move right into chat about the new $5 October pattern of the month, Like a Charm. Some of you have already taken advantage of the $5 sale price for this month. I mentioned last week that even though I wasn't able to chat about it in last week's video, that it was already marked down. And so I've been happy to see some of these orders popping up over this past week. Like a Charm is the $5 October pattern in the Coriander Quilts Etsy shop. It's available in both paper and PDF format. And as the name implies, it is a charm pack quilt. You need 2 charm packs and you get a nice roomy quilt. I always like when a charm pack quilt results in something roomy. Sometimes you want something small, but it's really fun when you can just purchase some charm packs, a little bit of yardage, and away you go. So this is Like a Charm. We can look at this a little bit closer here. This is made using Callie & Co. And the scale is so nice, and you get to just show them off beautifully in these squares here. These are gonna finish at a nice size. The quilt as a whole finishes at 67 by 80. You can see the fabric requirements here, but you can also see them over in the Etsy listing as well. So you're needing the charm packs, you need a solid, or you could use a print for your blocks and sashing. This is 2 1/4 yards of this print. You need 1 1/4 yards of white fabric for the sashing. And then you need 2/3 yard for the inner border fabric. That's this fabric right here. 1 1/4 yards outer border fabric, 2/3 binding, and then 5 yards of backing. And that makes this beautiful quilt right here. I'm gonna link this quilting pantograph down in the description box as well, because it's one that David Hurd of Quilting by David has used a couple different times for me, and I always think it looks really pretty. I just love these sunflower daisies, whatever this is. I think it looks really nice. So I will link to that if you also love that quilting design. And that, I'll hold it up again, is like a charm, the October 2025 $5 pattern of the month over in the Coriander Quilts Etsy shop. Think how cute this would be in holiday fabrics. If you needed a quick Christmas quilt, this would be adorable. Just think of that sashing in a nice red or a green. That would be so pretty. But there it is, like a charm. This one, usually I mock up my $5 patterns over on my website. Callie & Co is still in shops. If I get a chance, I'll go ahead and mock it up. Now that I'm thinking Christmas, maybe I need to see what it would look like in a Christmas line of fabric. But you can still get those Callie & Co fabrics. So if those caught your eye, those are still available in quilt shops. We'll move right into our viewer quilts for today. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 quilts. Well, I guess technically 5 quilts to share from 3 different viewers. First up, from Kim A, she says, I began my quilting journey during Fat Quarter Shop's bountiful quilt-along, purchasing both the quilt and backing kits. Although I didn't start immediately, I've been practicing my quilting skills ever since and greatly appreciate your YouTube channel and tips. I finally felt ready to tackle the beautiful, bountiful quilt last fall. Upon finishing the top, my husband's comment about it looking lovely on the bed sparked a moment of disappointment regarding its size. However, I soon realized I could creatively utilize the backing kit to add butterflies to the top and incorporate extra borders, successfully adapting the bountiful quilt for our queen-size bed. I was delighted to find a quilting design that harmoniously includes the butterflies, bees, and flowers I adored in the quilt design/fabric. Thank you for the joy you have brought to the bedroom decor, just in time for spring. That looks lovely on your bed, Kim. Next up, from Gail K. I have 2 quilts to share. The first is the Easy Peasy pattern with your Beautiful Day fabrics, and the second is a Carpenter Star with your Butter, Cup, and Slate line. I have to say that they are 2 of my favorite quilts that I have made so far. Thank you for continuing to design wonderful fabrics and patterns. I really enjoy your weekly videos. And those both turned out super pretty as well. And lastly, from Alina D. Her name was at the bottom of my page, and for a moment I thought, oh goodness, I don't know her name, but I've got it there, Alina D. She says, I enjoy the Saturday videos, and I'm a huge fan of your fabrics and patterns. I have collected several of your fabric collections and always enjoy sewing with them. Attached is the freshly cut quilt pattern. I have made it twice. The first time I accidentally left out the sashing in between the rows of flowers, but it still looked good, so I didn't fix it. I don't remember what fabrics this was, but it has a 30s vibe to me. The second one I made was some Tula Pink fabrics, and I currently have it hanging in my living room. It is so bright and happy. I'm looking forward to the upcoming In the Garden fabrics coming out this fall. So just a wonderful lineup of quilts shared by our viewers this week. I will make sure and link to patterns that I can down in the description box. And as always, if you want to send in quilts for me to share here, the information to send those to is down below as well. Okay, so let's see. Next up, we're going to share fruit salad quilts. We've got the completed trunk show of quilts to share, so that is what is happening next. I am going to get one hung up behind me so that I can start chatting about that, and then we're just going to have a good old time. This is the first quilt in the new fruit salad lineup. The name of this quilt is Flower Tiled. It's the layer cake quilt for this collection, and it shows off larger scale prints beautifully, and it was a great way to showcase all of the prints in this collection. This was one of the, well, I was excited to sew up all of the quilts. If you watched last week, you heard me just going on and on about how much fun I had sewing these all up. But this was the very first one that I made in this collection, and I was really excited to start sewing it. It came together really nicely, and it was just a joy. It finishes at 63 by 63, and for the most part, I kind of left the order of the prints that in the layer cake, I left them in that same order and just sort of spread them out, which gives it kind of this fun color order appearance, which also just made me really happy. The whole quilt was just such fun, such a delight to bring together. I'm going to pull it down so that you can see the quilting on this one, and I think that's fun too. And here is that close-up of Flower Tiled. You can see all of those beautiful, happy prints. Fruit Salad fabric line is definitely a fruit-filled, color-filled collection. For those of you who may not have seen when I was sharing about the prints in this collection, Fruit Salad, that was, let's see, about 2 Saturdays ago. I'll link to that video. And just a reminder, and also maybe you're hearing for the first time about Fruit Salad, these fabrics do come out in April of 2026. They're showing to quilt shops right now. So if it's something that you would love to see in your favorite quilt shop, you can be sure to let your favorite shops know. They can order it now for shipment. Then the patterns are available to purchase now. So David, Hurd of Quilting by David, did all of the quilting on these new quilts. For this quilt, Flower Tiled, he used the quilting design Tessellation Peel. This was one that I think he had stumbled across a few months ago and had sent me an image of this quilting via Instagram, and I thought it was beautiful. I was so happy. Sometimes he'll stumble across great quilting designs and send them my way, so I always appreciate when that happens, because then we get something like this that I might not have stumbled across on my own. So this is Tessellation Peel. It is a So Shabby quilting design. I will link to all of the quilting designs in the description box below as well. This is bordered out in the dark blue pin dot from the collection. The sashing and the whites on the blocks are the white on white print. It's a sketch print also in the collection. We have the green pin dot, and then the yellow centers here is the same print as the white on white fabric I used in the sashing. So it's the sketch print from the collection. I have the stripe in red for the binding. And then for the backing, I used the large scale fruit print on that dark blue. And I almost always, I can't even think of the last time I've asked David to use a color other than warm white for one of my quilts. I pretty much always just stick with a nice warm white for the quilting thread color. And that is Flower Tiled, just a really fun one. Next up behind me, we have Fruitful. Fruitful is a fat eighth friendly quilt. It uses 30 fat eighths. And I chatted last week about this medium blue pin dot fabric I used for the background, and I think that just allows all of these colors to pop so nicely. You get to see all of the sunshiny brights, but then you have this nice contrasting background, which just sort of brings the whole thing together so nicely. The quilting design on this one is one that we've used before for my quilts. I like it. It's a little bit traditional, but a little bit maybe whimsical, so we'll take a look at that as well. And here is Fruitful up close. The quilting design on this is called Cross-Hatched Clamshells. It's a Naomi Hines quilting design. And I like it because I am often drawn to like a Baptist fan or a rainbow sort of clam kind of motif, but I also love a good crosshatch. And so this combines both of those. I think it still feels traditional, but it's maybe a little bit unexpected, maybe not quite what you might think to use on this quilt. We've used it before, and I do think it turns out so nicely. But here's what it looks like. These stars are offset a bit, which gives nice movement throughout this quilt. It's another one that showcases prints pretty nicely, and I think it turned out really pretty. I like this pin dot. This print, if you can't see it as well on your screen, is the same print as this dark blue. It's just a small pin dot print. Works really nicely for sashing for backgrounds like what you see here. The white on white is, again, that sketch print from the collection. I've started very purposely designing white on whites in my collections pretty much from day one. I think maybe Prairie, my very first line, didn't have a white on white. I'm not exactly sure when I started always including them, but once I started, I didn't go back because they are so versatile to use. Sometimes you want just a little bit of something on your background. You don't want it to necessarily detract or add a lot of color to what you're piecing, but you want it to just add a little something special. And those white on whites really do that. So I use them a lot. I love piecing with them, and I like what they add to a quilt. So that is what I used for the whites here. If you're looking for the white solid, as always with every one of my collections, 9900-200, which is Motabella solid in the color off-white. That is your go-to white solid if you want to match my collections. The border is a scalloped border, which is traditional piecing. It's not tricky to make a scallop this way, and it adds just a little bit of a special treat to the edges of this quilt. The stripe is that same red stripe that I used on the previous quilt, and then the backing is the light blue large scale fruit print from the fruit salad collection. So that is Fruitful, the Fat Eighth quilt for this fruit salad fabric collection. Now, you stay put. There we go. Because we're going to talk about the quilt behind me. This one got a lot of attention last week. This is Apple Tango. It is the jelly roll quilt from this collection. Again, another one that I was really excited to piece. I should just say I was not unexcited to piece any of them, so I don't have to keep saying how excited I was to piece all of them. They were just fun. But this was neat because when you just glance at it, you kind of see a little bit of a floral motif, and then upon further inspection, you realize, oh, those are actually little apples. And I had a number of comments from you last week saying that you would like to see this same layout, but with something different in the center. So pumpkins or Christmas trees or whatever it might be. You really enjoyed this layout for a jelly roll quilt and thought it would be fun to see some different motifs. So I'm going to have to tuck that in my head and remember that you guys want to see something a little bit different with this layout in addition to what we already have here. This is a larger quilt, 72 by 96. Jelly roll quilt, as I said. You need a little bit of additional fabric. In addition to your jelly roll, your background, you're going to need 4 different reds, a little bit of brown for your stems, some green for your leaves, and then, of course, backing and binding. The quilting on this was new, and I think it turned out really cute. So we'll take a look at that up close. If you watched last week's video, you heard me say that the quilting on these gave me a little bit of a fuss. Sometimes I can just decide exactly what I want, and sometimes it just takes me a little bit longer to decide. This was one that I went back and forth on what quilting I wanted, and I ended up choosing this design, which is called Apple Seeds. It's another So Shabby quilting design. It is a straight line quilting design for the most part, except then it has these little apple seeds added here and there throughout on the straight lines. It's about 1 inch apart for the quilting, and I really think it turned out very nicely. I didn't want just a straight line. I debated about doing some of the really cute novelty fruit quilting patterns that are available. There's a lot of them. For some reason, I tend to steer away from novelty quilting on my quilts every now and then. Very seldom I will choose something a little bit novelty. So I debated about that. I thought, well, this is a fun collection. I could throw in a strawberry design or an apple quilting design, you know, something a little bit different. But in the end, this was as novelty as I went for any of the quilting designs. I think this is really cute, and I do like the way it looks on here. When I am choosing my quilting designs, typically what I do is I will put all of my quilts into a document. It's actually an Adobe Illustrator document. Put all of my quilts there so I can see them, and then I copy and paste different quilting designs, and I'll put that beside the quilt so I can kind of see. It doesn't give me a great idea, but a little bit of an idea of what the quilting design might look like on that quilt. And I will decide the quilting for all of the quilts, and then leave that document for a few days and decide if I still like it, if I want to change anything, if all of it is just making me happy, and then I'll make any changes. And this one, it took me a while, and I just wasn't quite happy for the longest time. And then I finally had everything kind of nailed down. I tend to like more, not super modern, kind of traditional, but not super traditional. I'll use feathers sometimes, but not a lot of feathers. You'll see me using a lot of Baptist fans, clams, orange peels, straight lines, loops, more like straight line loops, not meandering loops. Those sorts of designs are what typically draw my attention. So that's kind of where I land most of the time, but this was fun. This was a fun take on, you know, pretty traditional straight line quilting with just a little bit of a nod towards the apples. For the binding, it is the stripe in the light blue. And then we have that tight fruit print for the backing. And that is a look at Apple Tango. I'm going to slide this over just a little bit so you can see a little more of it, but just a really fun jelly roll quilt. Nice and roomy. And as I said last week, a really fun one for a teacher gift. Even if you made something a little bit smaller, less blocks, it would be really cute for a teacher quilt if you are a quilt teacher gifter. Now, behind me, we have the next new quilt pattern I designed for fruit salad. I wanted to do a sampler quilt of some sort. The fabric line, fruit salad, has a bunch of strawberry fabrics, so I thought a strawberry sampler quilt sounded just amazing. This was what I came up with. So it is a strawberry sampler. We have different pieced quilt blocks in the centers of each of these strawberry blocks. There are 5 different quilt blocks total, which keeps the piecing fun because you're doing something a little bit different every few blocks. This finishes at 73 by 88. It's a yardage based quilt, so you're going to need different red fabrics, 5 different red fabrics. You're going to need your green fabric for your strawberry stems, background fabric, dark blue fabric for your sashing, a lighter option for your sashing. You need border, binding, and backing, all yardage based. Now, this is the kit option for fruit salad that's put together by Moda. So if you like those adorable boxed kits that Moda puts together, it will be available in quilt shops later this spring when fruit salad fabrics come out. With that being said, any of the other quilts that you see, we'll just say Apple Tango, for example, if you see something else that you would like as a kit, just because it's not the boxed kit that Moda offers, doesn't mean that you can't get it as a kit. Most quilt shops are very happy to put together a quilt kit for any quilt if they have the fabrics in their shop. So if a shop gets in fruit salad fabrics and you say, hey, I love the Apple Tango pattern and I would love to have a kit, is that something that you could do for me? Most quilt shops are going to say yes and would be happy to kit that up. So if you see something, but you know it's not the boxed kit, don't let that stop you from checking with your favorite quilt shop to see if that's an option that they might be able to kit it up for you themselves. All right, we're going to take down the strawberry sampler quilt and look at that quilting up close. Strawberry sampler got a simple orange peel, a small scale orange peel quilting design, which I think turned out super cute. I had a different orange peel I had been tossing around using, but in the end, I just went with good old standard orange peel. It always turns out nice. You can modify the scale to suit your quilt, and it's just a winner. Every time I use it, I always think it turns out really nicely. So orange peel for this one. You can see the different blocks here. We have an Ohio star, we have a friendship star, we've got a churn dash down here, 9 patch, and then tucked over here, we have just your regular old sawtooth star. So those are the 4 different designs in this quilt. And they're pretty simple to piece. I was able to chain piece these because I did all of the stems, this top portion of all of the strawberries at once. And then I could come through and do the individualized portions for each different print. And it really did keep things moving right along. This sashing I think turned out really pretty. I used the blue sketch print on the white background for this portion of the sashing, which gives it just a little bit of color. I think it turned out really pretty that way. The white is, again, the white on white from the collection. We needed a strawberry border. This ties everything in so nicely. The red stripe for the binding, and of course, strawberries for the backing. So it's the strawberries on the red for that backing. I will spread this out a bit more so you can see it a bit more, but this is strawberry sampler. And that's what she looks like. And now hanging behind me, we have Barnstar 12. I'm sure you were probably all expecting the Barnstar to make an appearance because this is the 12th one in my series of Barnstar quilts. This is the fruit salad Barnstar 12. It finishes at 40 by 40, just like all of the other Barnstar quilts. This one is yardage based. You're going to need some various cuts of yardage to make this quilt. And it's just another quick to piece Barnstar. Now with the addition of Barnstar 12, I'm going to add another 4-piece Barnstar bundle. So we currently have a Barnstar bundle that features 1 through 4. We have 5 through 8, and now I will add 9 through 12 so that if you wanted to purchase those in Barnstar bundles, you could. So 4 different Barnstars in each of those bundles. So we'll have a new Barnstar bundle with this one. And then we also have new fruit salad bundles that include all of the new fruit salad patterns. So if you wanted to get all 5 of the new fruit salad patterns, you could purchase the bundled option. We'll bring this down and take a look at the quilting on this one. And the quilting on this one is called Lattice Orange Peel. I said I liked orange peels. This fits right in. This was another new design that it was new to me. I had never tried this on any of my quilts, so I think David did a beautiful job with this. I like the way it goes kind of diagonally against the star points, if that makes sense. I just think it looks really pretty. So Lattice Orange Peel, So Shabby quilting design. The white on white is again that fruit sketch, a little bit of the pin dot here for the border, and then we have that red stripe for the binding. The backing on this one is the dark blue strawberries, and that is Barnstar 12, the most recent addition to the lineup of Barnstar quilts. That also wraps up all of the new fruit salad quilt patterns. So you'll have to let me know which of those was your favorite. I don't know which one is my favorite. I tried not to be too effusive with my excitement over the new patterns because it felt like a bit much when I was saying, oh, I love this, it's the best one. I loved piecing this one with all of my heart. So I tried not to go too over the top, but they were all so much fun. I really enjoyed them. I really tried to be intentional about designing patterns that I was excited to piece every single last one, and I must have hit the nail on the head this time around because each new fruit salad quilt I started cutting, I was excited to piece, excited for it to come together, and it was just a really good time, a lot of fun. Trying not to say the same phrases over and over. All right, well, we're gonna move on to the next thing. All the new fruit salad patterns are in my Etsy shop, PDF bundles, paper bundles, they're all available individually. Let your favorite quilt shops know if you want fruit salad fabrics to be in their shop in the spring or any of the new patterns to be in their shops because those can be ordered right now. Now, we are going to move into all kinds of things, all kinds of new things. I'm just gonna bring up a whole new stack of goodness here. I've got that, and then over here I've got even more things. This, oh, don't rock away. You're gonna get to see that rocking chair. And these, okay. I think this is all of my goodies here that I still need to chat about. What do you want to hear about first? Let me start with this pillow because she's taken up some room. So my friend Heather over at My So Quilty Life sent me this beautiful pillow 2 weeks ago. It was right before Quilt Market. And she had made it using one of the patterns, I believe one of the patterns from her block of the month that is currently going on. I had chatted about this at the beginning of the year when she was kicking it off, and because I thought it was so cute. I know some of you are probably participating in this block of the month. If you're not, I'm going to link to it again because I haven't chatted about it recently, and you might really enjoy joining along because it's such an adorable block of the month. She has also shared some other really cute block of the months in years previous. So I will link to those too, because I think you can still get all of those blocks right now. And isn't that cute? So shout out to Heather. Thank you for this beautiful pillow. She even embroidered coriander quilts right there across the top of the sewing machine. And she used my Beautiful Day fabrics. And I think it just turned out so cute. So I just wanted to share that with you and then just give another reminder about her beautiful block of the month patterns that she does. So that was just a share that I wanted to show. And while we're talking about sew-alongs, let's just talk about sewcialites again. I've talked about this briefly this year because it was one of my works in progress that I finished, this sewcialites quilt top. But a new round of sewcialites is kicking off here very soon in February, and yardages are now available. So if you wanted to join in, you would know what you needed. And Fat Quarter Shop is the host of this quilt along. They are making, oh, I've got them upside down. Let me pivot this around. They are sharing more about that just this week. So I'll make sure and link to all of the information, but I wanted to mention it again in case you wanted to join in when it kicks off next year. I've participated in rounds 1 and 2. These are all of the blocks that I made in rounds 1 and 2, but I decided to put them into one quilt. So it's a lot of little blocks. The option for sewcialites is to make 3-inch, 6-inch, or 9-inch sized blocks. They have the instructions for all 3 sizes, so you can choose what size you'd like to make. I don't know what size I'm going to make this year. Well, next year, February 20 is the kickoff date, I believe. I really liked making these 3-inch blocks, but I don't know if I want a bunch of 3-inch blocks again. It's 25 blocks total once the sew along is done next year. And I don't know. Here is this information here. This is available online in addition to all of the yardage requirements. This was what was released earlier, just so you would have a tentative idea of what you needed. But now the complete fabric requirements have been released, so you know exactly what you need. But you can see the blocks and you can see the setting option that they are providing, and it will give you a great idea if you want to participate or not. But if you make the 3-inch blocks, this is just a little 21.5-inch square mini quilt. So I don't know that I need a mini quilt. The 6-inch results in a 42.5-inch square, and the 9-inch results in a 63.5-inch square. And of course, this is using the Fat Quarter Shop setting option. You can always opt to do your blocks completely differently, like I did, and end up with something different, but they do have a setting option for you. The blocks are released weekly starting February 20th. It runs through August 21st. And I'm going to be sewing along. I'm just not quite sure of my plan yet. I'm leaning towards the 9-inch blocks just because that's a nice quilt. That's a nice giftable quilt, 63.5-inch square. That could be something really nice to give away. So that's kind of what I'm leaning. But then the next thing I need to decide about is my fabric collection, because I don't know what I want to do, what I want to do there either. So for this one, I used 2 different fabric collections. I used Buttercup and Slate, and I used Springbrook, and mixed them all together. And then I used that Grandmother's Flower Garden print from Buttercup and Slate for my borders. And I think it turned out cute, but I don't want to use these same fabrics again. I want to use something different. And that's where I'm a little bit stumped. I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards in the garden. I thought I had a fat eighth bundle hanging around here somewhere. It is hanging around here somewhere. But I'm just not sure if that's what I want to do. If you're participating in Sewcialites, tell me what you're using. Tell me what size you're making. I'm going to link to the fabric requirements and this little layout ditty, so you can look at that if you haven't seen it before, but I'd be curious to know what everyone else is using. Don't tell me if you're using Tilda fabrics, because then I'm going to want to use Tilda fabrics, and especially don't tell me if you got the new holiday Tilda fabrics and you're using those, because I did not get the new holiday Tilda fabrics. I have been holding strong still, so don't tell me that you're using those. But, well, actually you can tell me. I'm curious if you are, what you're using, what size quilt you're making. If you've done Sewcialites before, let me know. Ah, my blocks are getting away from me. Yeah, so I'm just undecided at this point in time. I'm leaning towards in the garden. It might end up being, I don't think it'll be fruit salad. I debated Callie & Co works really nice for small piecing, so if I wanted to do something small, Callie & Co would work great for that, but mostly I just don't know. And it might be something I decide right when I need to start making my blocks. I decide, hey, I'm going to use this, and away I go. If there is another fabric line that you would love to see me work with, let me know too. Tell me all the things about Sewcialites, and then maybe I can decide what I want to do. Sometimes it's just fun to hear what everybody else is doing, and then you can decide what you want to do. All right, we're going to move into, I think, works in progress now. I'm going to save these and save this, and we're going to chat about some quilt blocks. I have made some progress on some various blocks that I've been working on. So my Moda Blockheads blocks, I think I was looking at my design wall, and I think I've got all of them made for the block patterns that have been released that I am planning on making. So I have enough now that I can start sewing everything together. Most recently, the Heather of My Sew Quilty Life, who I was just sharing that pillow she made, her block came out very in the recent past. Her block came out not long ago, would probably be a more standard way of saying that. And so this is the Sweet Pea block by Heather. And that one's done. And this one was the Ninth Wonder block by Jessica Rose. I love this one. It might be my favorite one of all of the blocks that I made for the Moda Blockheads Sew Along. I just think it turned out so pretty. I loved using this larger print from a bloom for the border fabric, and I think that's just precious. So I made that one also, and those two blocks complete all of the blocks I needed to piece in addition to the panel blocks that I made also. So now I can sew everything together. My hope is that I get that done this week, next week, and I've got that quilt done. So that's where I'm at with Moda Blockheads. I know a lot of you are familiar with Moda Blockheads. I will link to these two new patterns and also all of the Moda Blockheads patterns. So if you haven't heard about that, you can jump in if you want to. In further A Bloom news, I have been working on my designer mystery blocks. I have blocks 1 and 2 sewn. This is block 2, and then block 1. The last I chatted, I had this one cut out, so now it is sewn together as well. And I am now working on cutting out block 3, which is this one right here. And I have a portion of the cutting completed, so I need to finish cutting that one, and then I can get this block sewn together as well. That's where I'm at with those. I so far haven't been adding the border to the blocks. I purchased the finishing kit. I haven't been adding the border to the blocks as I go. I've just been getting the centers of the blocks pieced, and that's been going well. It's a little bit slow. I've had a lot going on, but I am getting there. And the last thing we need to talk about today is our works in progress goals. I did complete my last 2 months. The rocking chair is now done. It turned out so cute. That Lori Holt canvas fabric was just perfect for this little guy. And I put some of my Little House pins on there and think that's just precious. I am using the little spool holders that are supposed to be for thread. I'm using those for bobbins instead, which I think is really cute. And that's what it looks like. I've had it over by my sewing machine for a couple of weeks now. It's working great. And I think it is just the cutest. So that one got done. And then I also finished up this chevron quilt. This is a really old work in progress. I need to go look on my blog and see exactly when I would have first chatted about this there. But my guess is it was 2010, maybe 2010, 2011. I don't know. 2009, maybe. I'm not sure. I need to go look and see. But I finished it up. This was interesting to piece because you'll remember when I showed this, it was the half square triangles were done. The rows were pinned. Mostly everything was pinned. There was a couple that were sewn together. My piecing and pressing from that long ago have substantially improved. So it was quite entertaining. I don't know if I even squared up any of my half square triangles. I feel like they were more trapezoid shaped than anything. And it was pretty entertaining to piece. I just went with it. I went with it and did the best I could with what I was given, and I think it turned out really cute. It definitely needs a good de-threading here, but it turned out cute. I think the fabrics are really fun. I do still like the fabrics I chose. I like that it kind of looks watercolory as you work your way down through the quilt, and I like the solids in there. I think it's pretty. So this was a fun one to finish. Definitely an interesting one to finish, but I can check it off. Now I just need to decide on quilting and get this turned into a quilt. So those two projects got done, and I'm really happy with both of those. All right, let's go ahead and choose our October. I didn't choose mine yet, so I don't know what I'm going to be working on next, but we have 3 numbers left. And this is the pick right here, which is number 2. So whatever you have marked down for your number 2 project, that's what you're working on. And mine is piece 1 or more Coriander Christmas blocks. So I am working on my Coriander Christmas quilt, which was originally made using hollyberry fabrics. I'm redoing them in apricot and ash fabrics, and I haven't worked on them for months, maybe even probably over a year. I bet it's been at least a year since I worked on them. So I need to work on piecing 1 or more of those quilt blocks. And that feels very doable to me. So I'll keep you updated on my work in progress for October. We will see what happens and go from there. Let me know how you did with your September, maybe August work in progress projects, and we'll see what happens here in October. So this was a long, newsy video. Be sure to comment below about your favorite fruit salad quilt, your sewcialites agenda, maybe your works in progress information. Let us know what's going on. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will catch you again next time.